Okay, module 2, we are moving right along. Way to go. We're talking now about audiences and audience targeting. Of course, this is such an important component. As we like to say, first things first, build awesome audiences. From there, do whatever you want. Boost your posts, build ad campaigns, target your content accordingly, but you've got to first step back and identify who is a candidate for all of this content or even the minute amount of content that you're creating and the ad campaigns and the spend that you're about to invest in, and then make sure that they are delivered to those people really, really effectively. So map out your ideal customer path before spending a dime on advertising. And this is where the customer journey and the foundation, which is our audiences, are so important. If you need to go and map out that journey, I encourage you to check out our customer journey course. This is where we identify all the physical and digital touch points in our digital marketing sphere or our entire brand and where we're reaching people in the various stages of their buyer journey. So not just paying to get in their face, but like, how do we show up with our e-newsletters and our website, landing pages, podcast, Facebook posts, all the organic and paid content, plus the other channels that matter. It could just be 3. And it could be in-store is one of your physical touch points, as well as, a mail drop or Instagram and LinkedIn. But if you don't know the platforms and again, the people and where they are hoping to find you at the various stages of their journey, then it's really difficult to know where to spend the money. So we're leveraging the world's most powerful advertising tools, aka Facebook Ads Manager, to the max with these journey-based audiences paired with our journey-based ad campaigns. So when we look at the so-called funnel or the buyer stages, and how we define people at the various stages of their journey, it looks like something called AIDA. This is age-old customer stuff here. And the AIDA funnel can be utilized in your organic content, in your SEO efforts, but right now we're talking about it in our audience building perspective. So awareness, interest, desire or decision, and then action and moving people along. And as we always say, dumping more new leads into the top of the funnel because they're not all going to get to the bottom. They're going to peter off or say, that's not for me. But hopefully you'll have a big enough pool to choose from of mostly targeted or smartly targeted awareness type high level campaigns or people that then do become candidates for what's next and what's next. As it relates to our ads, when we correspond those two things together, the funnel-based audiences with the funnel-based ads, it looks the same. But we think about it in terms of new leads at the top, warm leads with more specific content, slightly smaller spend. We're spending the most at the top of funnel. It's big and broad. It's kind of spray and pray. And then at the bottom, it's like strategic drip into just the right apple trees in that orchard. But at the top, we're kind of having to water the whole field or a selection of that field. Remember, 10% or 5% of 100,000 person audience that gets them down to the 1% who might actually buy. So then at the bottom, those hot leads, more direct messaging, more like high converting kind of sales terminology or copy and content that gets them to the finish line. So a bit more scarcity, urgency, whatever that looks like for you in your high converting kind of messaging. We'll look at some examples of that too. So of course they work together and they can do so very effectively. And it's also really not hard when we map it out the way we're going to. So where does this all occur? Well, we're building our audiences, as you likely know, within Facebook Business Suite under More Tools, Audiences. And if you need more support in this, in setting up your business suite, our paid social course dives deep into all aspects of Facebook Business Suite, how it's changed from Business Manager, how to set it up with your people, pages, pixel, ad accounts, and then audiences. And once you're set up, you're off and running. It's just sometimes quite unfamiliar and overwhelming until you pull in your pages, your people that should have the right permissions to work on your various parts of your Facebook and Instagram, and then, other tools as well. And when you're set up, you're good to go. So we're finding our audience tool and we're heading on into Audience Manager. The 3 types of audiences that Facebook defines and we redefine ourselves at Social School are number 1, cold, which Facebook calls saved. So these are those brand new top of funnel audiences of people who have likely never heard of you before. Who the heck are you? Why are you in my living room or in my phone? What have you got to offer me? So we're building these audiences based on interests. So I think those people walk their dog and live in Greece and love to drink beer. In fact, I know they do because Facebook's telling me so. And that's the perfect candidate for my new product. But we can also do it based on their behaviors, their demographics, geographics, etc. And these have endless potential. And you can see that when you go in and you start to select the interests and the kind of other detailed targeting parameters. And you're like, oh, geez, there's so many I could add to this. So that's why we like to map it out on paper. So our top of funnel audience. The next one, type 2, Facebook calls it lookalike. We call it warm. And there's other types of audiences that can qualify as warm that don't necessarily have to be built as a lookalike. It's up to you. We'll talk about some that we use as warms that are built on a really defined saved audience. So who are these? These are people that may or may not know who we are. They have liked or shared our content, watched our video, read our emails, our e-newsletters, engaged with our ad, etc., but have likely not yet taken any bigger steps to engage or buy from us. Or maybe they bought from us years ago, or they've gotten kind of, they've fallen out of our path and we need to bring them back in. They're not hot, recurring buyers. So the other thing that they could do is resemble our hot audiences, but they're in a totally new or untapped market or demographic, as I mentioned in module 1, and hence the lookalike factor. But either way, these warm audiences in the middle are so important because if you remember the AIDA funnel, this is where we take people in that decision, research, desire phase, and we get them to buy from us and us alone. And that stage is where a lot of us hover. Yeah, I've heard of that, but I don't know if I really need a food delivery service company, and I'm going to check them all out. Yeah, I keep seeing the ads for all of them, and it actually sounds like a fantastic addition to my family's chaotic lifestyle. I'd like to do meal kits, but I don't know, who am I going to choose? So at this stage, I am, again, moving through that decision-making process, and you want to win me over or your people at that stage. So really important content and ads to get served up there in the middle. Finally, those hot buyers. Amen. We can spend a little less here. We're highly targeting and segmenting in advance before we send those ads to those people. And they're people who've already likely known us somehow. They have been on our website. They've bought from us before, or they were on that checkout page, but they didn't get to the finish line and purchase. Well, of course, we're going to reserve them an ad and show them those UGG boots and say, hey, I think you forgot something in your cart. That's a hot audience, and we're crazy not to reach them. What happens sometimes if we don't? We build all this content about our car dealership. Remember? Our great cars and our service and our pricing and our process where we're not pushy and you're going to love it here and And then we don't show someone how to test drive that car or how to get that beautiful new hybrid vehicle, and they get easy access to someone else who swoops in with the test drive ad. And now we've missed the bottom of funnel and we've gotten all this awareness at the top, but the buyer doesn't really care. At the end of the day, they just want to know the car's available and that, the price is decent. And those other guys are going to match all that other garbage that you're promising. Well, good stuff, customer service, blah, blah, warranty. So price differentiation or whatever your differentiating factor is at the bottom, that's sometimes what we're utilizing to flip people over the edge. But most importantly, we don't want to miss them at any stage of their journey, which so many companies do. So when we're creating these audiences, we go into Audience Manager. We've got those 3 buttons that stem below, that pop below the blue button. Custom audiences are our hot, lookalikes warm, saved audience are our cold, and then our special audiences, which we go into in our audience building class, housing, anything to do with politics, just certain ad categories where you're more limited in your targeting because Facebook doesn't want to create prejudice. That you can target, for example, a certain gender with an employment ad and not another, or a certain housing category. So they've chosen a few hills to die on, and you might be a little bit more limited, but nothing too dire. Okay. So briefly, let's review this then. Saved audiences, what it looks like when we're creating these is pretty self-explanatory. You get walked down the path of the general targeting as well as the detailed targeting, which is where the interests and behaviors come in. And if you know this in advance of who you want to target, what type of interest they have, and you're constantly paying attention to the audience size meter at the top of your screen to know how big it is, great. And of course, you're paying attention to what size that audience should be based on your market and all the other things that we cover in our audience class. There's bonus demos in there as well that we show you how to build them and all the various aspects of duplicating, testing overlap, big and small audiences, exclusionary audiences, etc. From there, you're going to go into custom audiences. So we're not going to build the warms second, we're going to build our hots. The reason for this is that, again, those warms are based on our hots quite often. So we want to first create the hots. So we have lots of options here. Don't worry if you don't have a website tracking pixel that's, constantly telling you who was on your website and then retargeting them with an ad. That is indeed a very powerful type of audience, but there's other options. So I'm going to show you 4. So the first one is in fact that pixel type. And if you can do it, I really encourage you to. You go set up your pixel so easily in Facebook Business Suite and you copy that little pixel code onto your website. Anytime someone is on your website, and what that is, if you think about it most simply, what is a pixel? Well, let's say the average laptop screen size has 1 million pixels on the screen. That's literally what they are. And that one of those pixels is a tracking code for your Facebook pixel. And another one's your Google Analytics pixel, the 2 most important ones to have. So anytime that page fires, that IP address is sent back to Facebook Business Suite, and it's building a dynamic audience. So there's information shimming, they call it. So they're taking out any kind of personal data. We don't know the person's name or where they live, but we do know that that particular person visited your website. And thanks to the magic of tracking, unless they do all types of blocking, which most of us don't yet do or don't to that degree, we can retarget them. Are there additional privacy issues with this now in iOS and a lot of the new updates in the Apple device? Yes. Many people have gone into their mobile device settings and disallowed pixel tracking, which is totally fine. I think, and the people that I talk to who are in the realm of advertising deeply and retargeting ads, are of the mindset that this will likely come back. I think that a lot of people, myself included, would rather be targeted with ads that are relevant to me than totally irrelevant, nonsensical men's hair cream ads or children's diapers. The reason being that we're going to be targeted with ads wherever we go, no matter what. This is the world we live in. You want to use Facebook.com? You're going to see some ads. You want to use Google? Ditto. We're served up with ads everywhere we go all the time, in real life and online. So I think this may come back a little bit where people are a little bit less leery about some of those privacy settings, but we'll see. There's other reasons now. People are saying lean into email marketing more than ever. Bottom line, this is a great audience to try and create. We're still seeing fantastic results with it ourselves, and that if someone is on your website, you certainly want to reserve them an ad if you can. Not everybody has the ability to add a pixel to their website. Either they don't have control of it or it's too complicated. I promise you it's not. Facebook walks you through how to import that pixel, and there's a million videos on YouTube that show you how to do it on Shopify, Squarespace, etc. We show you this as well in where the pixel lives on those platforms, Squarespace, Wix, Shopify, within our paid social course. But here's the thing. I include people who the source is my social school pixel has fired, and I want to say under the events area there, that it's for people who have visited specific web pages. So this is the audience I'm building. I want to know that they reached my /shop page. So they were on my shop page of my website within the last 90 days, but I could go as high as 180. From there, I want to also exclude people. This is the exclusionary audiences, which we've got to take into consideration, or it's part of our audience, exclusions. If they made it to my /thank you page, because that is the redirect page on our website when somebody makes it to checkout and then they're redirected to a thank you page. So by creating that page, I am now able to exclude anyone who made it there from this audience. And of course, I don't want to serve up an ad to someone who is on the shop page, especially if it's shop-Ugg boots or something more specific to that product. I don't actually have a no, I do have a shop page, but I would never run an ad for that. I would run it they were on that specific product and they didn't make it to that product's specific thank you page, which we have for every single product. So that's the reason that we want to be more detailed with our pages and our kind of mapping out the journey. So we can create these powerful inclusion and exclusionary traffic audiences. I hope that makes sense. And if you just want to run an ad to people that were on your website for the last 6 months, go for it. Your exclusionary could also be people that were on last year, but not the last 6 months. Because then you could say, hey, we're back. Did you know what's new? Come on back, or something like that. Okay, next type of custom audience, hot, is built from your customer list. So whether you have a website pixel or you don't, this is a fantastic way if you have any kind of contacts, any kind of database. I don't care whether it's 2,000 people or 40,000 people. If you can upload it as a CSV file, all you need is the email addresses. And yes, this is legal and powerful. If someone has given you their email address legally by subscribing to your e-newsletter or working with you and giving you permission, but essentially if you have permission to email them that with a promoted piece of email marketing, an e-newsletter, then it's similar to serve them up an ad. So we can upload this and Facebook will search the facebook.com, it'll search their user base, and it will create an audience of as many people that it can match from your database as possible. So it takes a little while for this audience to generate, but it's really powerful. The thing about it is it's not dynamic. So every quarter we like to go in and update our list-based audiences with new names, new information. I can do it for people that just bought a specific product or just attended a certain event or bought a certain course, etc. You can get as specific as you want. If it's not a very big list though and a big enough audience, Facebook won't let you use it. So it has to be at least 1,000 people. Okay, finally. This one is our catch-all. So maybe you do or don't have those top ones as sources: website, app activity if you have an app, customer list, offline activity if you're tracking people coming into your store. So instead, we're going to build a custom audience based on people engaging with our content. Easy. So I have so many choices here. If I choose Instagram account, I'm going to be able to target or create an audience out of everyone who's engaged with my account. Amazing. Or maybe just people who engaged with any post or ad. Very powerful. Or anyone who saved an ad or sent me a message. I can follow up and send them an ad. Finally, equally cool, video. So in this case, I say, yep, I want to create an audience based on my source is going to be my video content on Facebook and Instagram. In this case, I'm going to choose anyone who viewed at least 10 seconds of my video. And then I get to go in and determine which videos of my uploaded video content on Facebook or Instagram I have, or that they have watched for at least 10 seconds. Could be all of them, could just be one. Very cool if I know that I've put out a promotional video, a launch video, any kind of whatever, follow up, testimonial, live Q&A, workshop. And then I run an ad to people that watch that workshop video for even just 10 seconds, and I send them an ad as a follow-up. So don't be daunted if you don't have really robust custom audiences. There's so many that we can create from within our engagement of our content. There's examples of what as well in our audience building course of what these all look like as we build each one of those out. Okay, then that third but second category is the lookalike audiences, aka the warms. So in this case, so easy. We go in, we choose lookalike audience, and then it says choose your lookalike source. So most of us are going to go into other sources and choose whatever custom or probably other audience that we've built that we want to duplicate and change one single or hopefully just one variant of. So in that case, I might take my e-newsletter list and then target people in a different province or state. I might take my website pixel audience and then replicate it for people that, love softball or something like that. So I can change little things here and there. And then an example of those warm audience builds, again, exists in that course. So if you need more guidance on this, it's pretty important stuff. And your exercises to follow here are going to insist that you go ahead and check your audiences or build them as needed. Bonus stuff too, this guy, I love the micro geo-targeting. So this is another type of saved or cold audience, but we like to call it warm because it's so specific. And the idea here is that we're able to laser target a campaign or a promoted content on people in a specific neighborhood, postal code, zip code, region, building, city block, by having pin drop audiences and then exclusionary audiences all around it that narrow so tightly. Because with our pin drop, we can only get within a mile radius, and that's pretty big. But if we can get within like a couple hundred meters, that's really awesome. So micro-geotargeting is a really awesome way to get just the nurses in that hospital on your audience list, or just the graduates of that college, just the attendees of that conference that you didn't want to pay to attend, or that trade show that you had no interest in being at for 4 days straight. I can target those people that were in that location for a specific amount of time. Really good stuff. So there's a demo of that as well within audience building. Audience overlap we've got to consider. So when we look at our saved audiences, we want to know that they're not all dead similar. We might think they're very different because we've chosen these extremely different interests, but we want to just check because oftentimes there's a whole lot of overlap. My cold Alberta students, grads, and job seekers audience age 20 to 55 is actually 69% overlapping with something that I thought was quite different. My cold Alberta marketing and small business audience age 25 to 54. Okay, so I need to go back and refine some of those. If you want guaranteed non-overlap, you can segment by geographic region. That's a foolproof way, or by age bracket, or by gender. But it's important that we don't run ads, both promoted content and ad campaigns, to the same audience all the time. Even if we think they're different, but they're not, because Facebook will think we're spamming those people over and over and over, and they're going to reduce the overall reach and results of our ads as a result. So we call it audience cycling. You want to cycle through audiences in a really strategic way with your boosted content or your ad campaigns, maybe 3 days on this audience, 3 days on that audience, etc., or just strategically knowing who's getting which boosted post, because you've built those audiences so solidly, and you can say, yeah, Monday's posts always get targeted to that audience for 4 days boosted, $20. Tuesday's posts always get boosted to that audience. So we're cycling through these audiences really strategically. Okay, your turn. We can't move forward in creating ad campaigns. And remember, we are activating. We're not just learning what to do, we're learning how to do it, and we're actually executing on the build of our ad campaigns. So this is your time to turn off my face and go build your audiences in Audience Manager. Map them out first on paper, which is your opportunity to do so right in your workbook. And then go build them so that you've got 9 to 12 super solid audiences to target these brilliant ad campaigns with. The first ones are those cold top of funnel, and we encourage you to create a total of 3 of them, where they hopefully have a single variant that is either age, gender, or location. So keep those interests the same. Just change up those top line factors of age or gender, and then name them accordingly. I encourage you to call them cold, warm, and hot if that resonates for you. And then a little bit of a reference to that location, gender, and age, and then the interests that you're targeting, and then the date that you've created it, just so you have some kind of idea of how old these are, and you can refresh them every quarter or every 6 months. Next, the warms, try and create a total of 3 of these as well. Also in here, you're naming your source of some kind, like where is this coming from, or just some kind of reference that makes sense to you about what that middle of funnel audience looks like. This could be a micro geo-targeting audience too. It doesn't necessarily have to be a lookalike of one of your hots. And then finally, creating 3 custom audiences. Now, one thing that we like to mention is that it is absolutely okay to start with your saved audiences, build those out, and then come back in a month or 2 and build your warms and hots. Because most of us, if we're starting finally to redo our audiences a little better and refreshing our ad strategy, we are starting by creating more awareness with people who don't know us yet. And then it's perfectly fine to come back and create those custom or deeper down the funnel ad campaigns and down the road, or after you have information and data from those people. I do, however, encourage you to get that pixel firing. Even if you're not ready to use custom audiences or retargeting just yet, get the pixel firing so it can start building that audience for you, and it's collecting data immediately. Because if you build the custom audience and then you want to run a custom ad, You have no data to retarget people with. There's no one that's been on your site for 90 days according to your pixel. So get it firing now and get that audience dynamically growing immediately if you can. Couple final points here. Revisit, refine, and rebuild your audiences often. It is a part of your strategy. Mark it in your calendar. It's a quarterly job. Doesn't take long. If everything feels dusty and confusing and you couldn't confidently boost a post to every one of those audiences, get rid of them. There's no sense in keeping them. You don't need to. You can start over and rebuild your audiences quickly and effectively. And like I said, start with the cold and then create warm and hots as you gather more information. Lean into exclusions. To not do so is to burn money. You do not need to serve up ads to people that have already bought that product or attended that event. Keep that in mind. And so many people do it. And you and I both are on our Pinterest pins going like, I literally already bought that dumb Huggy blanket. Stop showing me the ad. It's a waste of your money. Finally, commit to the process, know the platform, and constantly monitor the performance of your audiences as they work with your different ad campaigns. It's a really, really important thing. Okay, next up, we're going to map out our ads in Module 3, and I will see you there.